Hey, how's it going? It's your pal Mike Squires, and this is the Couchers Podcast, episode number 208. 208? 208. And my guest this episode is Mike Borgia, solo artist, also the front person of the leader of the band, Mike Borgia, and the Problems. Mike puts out a lot of music, is involved in a lot of projects, and has a lot of random knowledge. And was a genuine pleasure to talk to him. He's also got an insanely good voice. You should go listen to him sing. I mean it. I'm not going to draw any comparisons here, but you know, he sounds like some of your favorites and has his own character. He's got his own sense of melody too. I'm really impressed with his ability to create interesting vocal melodies. And a great guitar player. Good Lord. You go listen to his newest record. He's putting out these things, snippets. They're like about a minute and a half, like 90 seconds of music, these songs. And they're great. Obviously short songs. That's something that's close to my heart. But I really enjoy what Mike is doing, whether they're short or long songs. So I had a great time talking with Mike. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. If you're enjoying the Couchers podcast, please, by all means, support us on Patreon. It's what makes this work, and it's what makes the Couchers cover song videos. I can't wait to get Borgia to sing a song because I feel like he could sing just about anything. Good Lord. Maybe I'll get him to sing some Queensryche. So yeah, thank you so much to folks who have been supporting Couch Riffs on Patreon. I know the videos have slowed down. I'm building 15 videos at any given time, and it's difficult to get people across the finish line with getting their parts done, especially vocalists. Just about everyone has come down with COVID in the last couple months, and it's more difficult on some people than others. It's hard. It's hard. So I appreciate you guys hanging in there. I appreciate you guys supporting. And I promise there are 15 great videos coming and more where that came from. We're up around 40 at this point, which is pretty exciting. I think that's really exciting. So thank you. Also, thank you to Variety Coffee Roasters, varietycoffeeroasters.com, at Variety Coffee on social media. Go check out their subscription service. This, you'll never run out of coffee. How easy can it be? Get on over there to their website, click a couple things. How often do you want it? How do you prepare it? And then it just shows up in the mail. It's magic. You might even forget it's coming, and it'll be like Christmas when it arrives. What about that? I drink Variety Coffee every day. That's no bullshit. I wouldn't steer you in the wrong direction. I just wouldn't. So there you go. We're going to jump into the episode. Thank you so much for listening, sharing, liking, subscribing, all the stuff. Hit the little button down there if you're doing this on YouTube. If you're listening, please do subscribe and get automatic downloads. That's some of the ways that these optics help a lot. Whatever. I'm using words. I don't even know what the fuck that means. I think that's how some good things happen from doing that. So thanks for helping make good things happen. You guys are great. Don't forget the golden rule. Do you remember the golden rule from last week and every fucking week that I've been on a microphone here, right? Treat people the way you want to be treated. And just like that, we're laughing. See, you're laughing already.
I'm always
How you doing, buddy?
Good, man. Good to see you.
It's nice to see you too. It's been as the kids, I think the kids say. When I say kids, I mean like 38-year-olds. It's been a hot minute.
38. So, yeah, it has been a hot minute for sure. You know, you guys left New York. Good for you. And you went to a nice little house, right, in Hudson?
We have a house just
Yeah.
outside of Hudson, but we still have a tiny little place in Brooklyn.
Oh, you still
It
have
sounds
it? Oh,
glamorous, like, oh, we've got an apartment and a upstate play. You know, it's like it's a rent. You know, it's a rent controlled spot. You know, the
yeah, no, I
routine.
get it.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah.
It's not fancy for anyone
No.
listening. Like, man, this guy's getting too big for his britches. It ain't like that.
It's all those guitar riffs you're playing, man.
Yeah, totally. The licks are really
You know?
bringing in the bucks.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure.
No, they know my name down at the Coinstar. They, you know.
That's awesome. That's really good.
Thanks.
Wish I could grow a beard like that. That's a bold one.
Would you know the trick?
Hormones?
Just don't shave.
I tried.
Yeah?
I'm Italian. I could grow a beard in a day, but when I do it over and over again,
it itches. It itches for a couple weeks, man.
Yeah.
There's some grow out stages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
But this is the biggest beard I've ever had.
Yeah, I've never seen you with such a large. Yeah.
I'm enjoying it. I'm having a good time with it.
I don't blame you.
It's
good. It's good.
I haven't cut my hair since the pandemic kicked in. And I wonder what would it be like if I hadn't shaved either.
Ooh, it'd be long. It'd be long. A friend of mine did
Billy
it.
Gibbons, right?
Yeah. A friend of mine did it. It got really long. He hated it after a while, but it grew over his entire face.
Right. You start getting spaghetti sauce in it and stuff. That's when it's not cool. You know, everyone they think about they're going to grow a beard and they're like, yeah, and I'll get like a suede jacket and use beard oil and it'll be cool. And then you go and you're trying to eat oatmeal and it's not working. It's
stuck in your beard. Yeah. That's pretty funny.
Not working for you.
Nope.
So it's been since before the pandemic since you and I spoke. Since I got up here, we've like messaged and stuff, but
yeah, online stuff for sure. Yeah. I mean, everybody's following each other and, but, yeah, it was after the notorious cancellation that, of a show. Remember you were going to play? And then,
hey,
I knew when I heard from you, I'm like, oh, of course. But it was great to hear from you, man. I was like, you put it in such a way. You have this way of speaking. It's like, oh, that's not so bad. I don't know how you do it.
It's a lifetime of experience in disappointment.
Oh yeah,
being able to break that to people.
Oof, yeah, for sure. Yeah,
just a rich history of disappointing folks.
Yeah,
will really get you to a place where you can make a car crash sound like an opportunity.
Yeah, I know, right? I need to work on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the last time we saw each other, I think we were in a sauna.
We were. Yeah, I can't remember where it was. It was
it's somewhere in like Midtown. It's like one of those
Premier 57. That's what it was called. This is not a marketing thing. Yeah.
What's that?
It's not. They're not our sponsor or anything, but I did a plug.
It's not a hookup spot.
No, it closed anyway. So
I imagine.
Let's just say that what you see, well, you probably see less trees in Hudson than we see here in New York City. That's a metaphor.
Treason. I see more treason here.
Ooh, interesting.
What do you suppose can occupy a space like that? Because that was multi-floors. It had a pool and like soaking tubs. I mean, what goes in there after that?
Yeah.
Imagine the demo work.
A drugstore, testing site, a pharmaceutical building, Anything government could go in there. A Target, which likely will. Yeah, yeah, a Target.
A Target. A
Yeah,
Target would fit nicely in that. It was a big, fancy place.
it was great. Actually, it was nice. It was very nice. The pool had so much chlorine in it. I couldn't even go in that room. But
It'll burn your eyeballs.
boy, I tried. I went in there like, boy, it's crazy.
Have you done like the last couple years? This is a weird way to start a conversation, but I think it's pretty good. Hopefully, it's tapering, right? Hope that we're all hoping it's tapering.
Uh, yeah, I hope it tapers for people. I'm a man like water. I look at something that seems like a problem, and I have the luxury and the opportunity to maneuver in a way that keeps me going without being part of that problem. If that makes any sense. I'm careful here because this is something I really don't want to talk about in depth,
Sure.
uh, but my long experience with health and healing and helping other people in that regard. Well, I thought this was going to go away in 2 weeks. And then now, if you see what Manhattan itself, like I live in Queens now, Brooklyn and Queens are doing okay.
Right.
Manhattan is not doing okay. You'd have to be blind to not see it. And music culture is completely dead.
Right.
But thanks to Brooklyn and the outer boroughs, it's staying alive. It's maneuvered. It's become people creating their own ideas and finding their own means of entertainment, and that's great. You know, I, I I'm I miss the New York that I know. The industry,
Sure.
the culture, the people walking around the street. So weird. Everybody was dressed up and looking cool, and all had different personalities. And over the last 7 to 10 years, I mean, I watched it dip, 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 dip. And then, I mean, nothing ever stays forever. That's just the way it is.
Right.
It doesn't stay
Uh,
forever.
I mean, it's something that I've ended up talking about a lot on here, and it's not like this is an original thought, but um, the internet has crushed regionalism and, you know, the ability to see and share ideas in a mass way kind of, suffocates your ability to be an individual in a fashion sense. You're talking about people dressing up and that was a thing in that, New York and LA had other pockets of, smaller pockets in other big towns, Portland and Seattle, San Francisco for sure. But those things they're dead. They're dead.
Yeah, yeah. I had a friend, Jimmy Webb. He was a
Yeah.
cultural icon here. You know Jimmy Webb. You're probably familiar with him. Well, when he passed away, I knew that was sad, very sad. But when he passed, I knew that was the last of New York for me. Young people won't know what they're missing. They've never experienced it, but I'm glad I did. I had so many wonderful memories, and thankfully, I got to live it for a couple of decades, and it's. I just feel bad for anyone who thinks that they're going to get the New York that was everything to so many people. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
What I was going to ask you before you started sidestepping,
Oh yeah. Sorry.
it's
Pull
okay.
me back. Pull me
No, no,
back
no. We're
anytime.
going to go
Yeah.
in a lot of directions, buddy. Trust me. Um, was that the last time we saw each other? It was in this like sort of wellness environment, right?
Yeah.
And the last couple years have been pretty tough on wellness, physical and mental, for almost everyone. If not like very, very difficult and damaging, at least challenging,
Yeah.
just because of the drastic change of lifestyle that everyone's experienced. Um,
True.
I feel lucky that I haven't experienced that much of a lifestyle change. I had already sort of settled into my lifestyle here, and it hasn't changed that much. I don't see people anyway, you know.
Yeah,
I see my
yeah,
neighbors and that's it, you know.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, you were at
but
a time, the shift in your life was the timing of which you were less affected by it. Yeah.
it was good fortune for us.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
fortune.
Yeah.
Um, what kind of adjustments have you made so that, if any, so that you could maintain a lifestyle that had the kind of wellness and healthy?
Uh, well, I mean, if in terms of my work outside of music, right? I,
Yeah,
I'm a nutritional therapist. I do manual and sports therapy and um, and those things and naturopathic medicine. So I've been doing that 22 years, Mike. And
what do you bench?
oh, I bench
Everyone, I
couple
bench
of
everyone.
ounces, couple of ounces. Um, uh, so the understanding of health for me was profoundly different than a good majority of Americans. Right? Americans
Sure,
struggle big with that, which is why I have a job, but I have to get people off pharmaceuticals and I have to get them into lifestyle changes, and it's a gradual pace, right? And I survived a lot of things touring with my friends and making certain. I didn't make any adjustments on the road. It was this is what we need at bare minimum, and we're not compromising our health to do this show under any circumstances. We're not taking some fried hot dog or a pizza.
right.
I had someone at the time who was dealing with cancer, so my bass player. So it was imperative there were no uh, um, there were no replacements for what we had, and I knew where to go along the way. We sometimes would go a few miles out of the way to get healthy food, and we kept a cooler
Sure.
of fruits and vegetables, nuts, berries, seeds, plenty of water. Didn't drink out of plastic, and I've done that for most of my career. But it was giving that to the guys that I played with for so long, and then I just I'm just lucky to have the knowledge that is not in abundance. And I think that what I'm noticing that after all of this, some people, not as much as I'd like, are taking personal responsibility for their health,
Right.
and that's important because there was a lot of finger pointing through this whole process, blaming other people and putting other people out for the few that chose not to do what was necessary for their health to stay healthy. And regardless of what anyone thought about viruses or anything else, it was important to have that knowledge. And we're so accustomed to convenience, and that sucks.
That's a big one. I think that's the biggest part. At
Hmm.
some point when the TV dinner and the microwave later on were introduced to the world, and America suffered probably first and foremostly because, you know, I don't know why. Because we were like, we're the best and we want, and we've done the hard work because god damn it, we're America. We're the best. So if they tell me that this frozen dinner is made and everyone in the family gets one
Yeah, yeah,
and it's great, it's nutritious, uh somehow, and then from there it just went downhill, right?
sure. Well,
And
the idea that we were the best, that being told that we were the best. Now, I never believed that. I got to be honest. I love the people that I know in this country, but I'm not a flag waver, and I'm not going to pretend to be one. And I don't mind being judged for any of my actions or words or anything. I own everything that I like or dislike, and I have a
fair
right to
enough.
yeah, I have a right to support what I think is just and what I think is appropriate, and I don't fault anybody for it. But it's
That's your right
interesting.
as an American.
Yeah, yeah, Italian American, yeah, for sure.
I mean, if you were African American, you'd have the same right, although you'd be have to fucking suffer fools a lot more.
You
If you
would, yeah,
were Asian
yeah,
American, if you know,
yeah,
uh, yeah, as a citizen,
sure.
it's your right to voice your opinion as well. As a veteran, I have a troubled relationship with what we're talking about, you know?
Well, yeah, and look, I have family in the military. I support that. I met so many people when I was down in Nashville who were in the military, who were soldiers and stuff. Great conversations with them,
Yeah, sure.
and they had the intentions are there. And then when they realized what the outcome was, they're like, I would never do it again. And but there are things that you take away from it, and you take away the best of it, and you leave the rest. That's it, right?
It's a big machine is the problem.
It is. It is a big
It's a
machine.
big machine. I
Yeah.
think we need small politics,
Yes.
local
Yeah.
politics.
Well, we need to focus on that. Where we live, our community is way more important than the global scale of things. You know,
Right.
strength in numbers, strength in communities. One reason why I wanted to do this is because it made me
'Cause I'm
feel
awesome?
like that too. It made me feel like there's some sort of community left. So I would play before all this. I would get asked to play these parties in Brooklyn, these hip hop shows. I'm like, why do you want me to play a hip hop show? And then I go, duh. People in the urban scene are supportive of everybody. They are a strong community. They lift each other up. They don't put each other down. And the rock community has never been supportive in any way close to that. Right. So then somebody who's a rock guy said, and yeah, we're friends, but somebody who's a rock guy, I see what you're doing. You're trying to create that community, with the people, your peers, and they seem to be willing to do it. And that's rare. It's so rare.
I was doing this before the pandemic stuff kicked in and quarantine locked
Yeah.
everyone down, but it's been really good for me to have the opportunity to talk to people every single week.
Yeah.
Even if I just was working 60 hours a week, doubled down, up to my neck, I would have the opportunity to have a conversation with someone every week, and it was kind of a lifesaver. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. It brings your sanity a bit more parallel,
So let's back way up, because right now we're talking
Yeah.
current shit.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Where are you from?
New York.
You are. Where did you grow up?
When I was a wee child in the countryside of New York State, near Albany, and then as a young adult, downstate. So I lived.
Wait a minute, near Albany, where?
Albany, New York.
Oh, you were in Albany.
No, there's all different areas surrounding there. So,
I mean, I'm 35 minutes from Albany. I'm familiar with the area.
Yeah.
Please tell me you grew up in Coxsackie.
What's that? Coxsackie.
Oh, God, it's the best. It's right near Climax.
No, I didn't grow up there. No, where it's actually. So I have a sister in Albany near Guilderland, right? I partly was in Rome, New York, which is further west. I had friends that were living in Buffalo, and then Rochester, all those areas. I didn't grow up there, but so closer to the lake for a while. And my dad on the Borgia side, my biological father, family in New York City, aunts and uncles, cousins. So my parents got remarried when I was really, my cameras. So when I was really young, and there was a lot of bouncing around. So I've got a long history, but New York, yeah, I lived for a couple of years in England.
Oh,
I would have stayed forever. But I lost, I got sent home. I overstayed my visa, and
you were an adult.
Yeah. 2012, I overstayed my visa. I just really had learning lessons, I had to learn some lessons about that, they were starting to crack down on independent artists in a big way, and, laws were changing. So even though that there was no proof that I was making money, The mostly promotional tours for about 12 years. And then, it didn't matter so much then, if you're not a big stadium act, a big marquee act, normally it was okay, but things
Right.
changed. Anyway, things changed. The person who was my tour manager and engineer, her mom, we got close, but her mom wanted to keep me in the country because they sent me a letter and they didn't, we tried to attest it because, she told us she worked in immigration and she knew the laws. So I said, okay, I don't, maybe you're right. Let's try it. And they detained me for a couple of days and said, get out. I've been back since, but it's just, for a while you're like, lay low. Yeah.
So you moved around a lot as a young kid.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Cause I had two dads growing up. One Sicilian, one Napolitan, and both great. Three older sisters, a fantastic upbringing. I really am thankful. Didn't end up a drug addict, never did drugs, other than edible marijuana much later in life, a couple of years ago. But so now it's been a long, long road of playing in bands when the industry was really hot, showcasing, getting a lot of offers, and then had a lawyer that said, man, just Richard Grable, who he was the head of the Grubman and Dursky law firm in New York. I mean, he really sat, because my band was called Tread. Before that, it was called Samsara. We played post-hardcore music. We were in the straight edge hardcore scene for a while, which changed my life. Really did. We could get into that. But we had a lot of momentum and things going for us. And you know how it is. I think you understand this. It's a commitment. It's a real commitment to do it professionally. And it's not for everybody. And that's all I kept running into, small thinking individuals. And that wasn't an insult. It's just the way they are. The idea of playing rock and roll for a living and being big rock stars, they just realize that it's not sitting in the back room at a backstage getting massages before you go on. It's a lot of work.
When that happens, though, it's pretty magical. Let me tell you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. It's and then every label person, every person I knew that worked at big labels, they looked at me and said, Mike, you don't need this band. Just play on your own. Do you remember the days of Pure Volume? Do you remember Pure Volume?
No.
If you were in the post-hardcore scene and you played music in that element, you had a lot of young kids, let's say they were the Warped Tour generation, you could call them, really.
Got it.
You would put your music on the front of Pure Volume. It's a music website that promoted fandom, that promoted quality music. And you had to pay to be on the front page only because the amount of traffic that Pure Volume was pulling in for people for kids to listen to was astronomical. So it was like $350 or $400 for 7 days. And the next thing I know, I put a solo record out there called You Are What You Hate. And there was a track called Angels Falling Over that was literally about priests and nuns abusing children, right? The whole Roman Catholic Church, right? This was not a song about I love God. This was a number based on the complete opposite. But it went up there. And thousands of plays over and over again, people commenting, loving it. I get a message from Red Dragon FM in Cardiff, South Wales. This guy, Gavin Smith, was working there. He says, hey, mate, I'd love to get you over the pond. I said, I can swim, but not that well. What are your ideas? He said, let's get a promoter and I know tons of them. Let's just get you a show. You want to come over? I said, yeah. Came over. The first show I played was completely packed. Second time I went over, I played
What
Club
year
E
is
for
this?
It started in early 2000.
Okay.
2000 around. Yeah, 2000, 2001, something like that. And then my friend Chris, he got me into Club Eferbach. They call it the Welsh Club in Wales, and that was sold out. But I played solo, but I played with two other acts that were pretty well known in the area. And but they were fans of my work, and I didn't know I had as many fans as I did there. So the radio station was playing my stuff, but they said, we can't give you royalties for it, but we'll spin it and see where it goes. I said, okay, great. And it went. And then long story short, I started developing a career. A promoter picks me up in Newport, South Wales, then in Birmingham, Manchester, Liverpool, London, Brighton, High Wycombe, like boom. It's like bam, 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 everywhere. And it just got better and better. And I was picking up so many shows. It's like I never stopped working. And then I would come back to the States and I'd do my work in wellness, and I'd grind in New York City, and I would play some areas of the States, but I really didn't care to play America. I really didn't care at all. It was just people respected me and understood what I was about. And the music culture, even today, even though it's changed in England and throughout Europe, it's just better. And you know this, you're experiencing it again pretty soon.
Right. Well, there's more opportunity, and people don't have, it's not a short-term memory type situation. You know, if you put out a record and it hits, if you don't make it back for 2 or 3 years, you're still going to be okay. Here, forget it.
Yeah.
And that's part of this, the fast food and convenience lifestyle that we have here, I think. Also, it's a huge space. America, maybe people don't realize it. The entirety of the UK is like, what? Fucking the size of not even Pennsylvania, right? It's like the size of, it's a little bit bigger than Florida, maybe.
Well, it's bigger than that, but it's like
not that much bigger than Florida.
It's like the Northeast, pretty much.
You could
the
drive
Northeast of America,
fucking tip to toe in a day if you buckled down.
In England, you could drive about 8 hours from the Bay in London all the way over to the edge of Liverpool, all the way to, and then, but yeah, I mean, it's more accessible for sure.
Yeah.
Traveling, I mostly traveled by EasyJet. Train was super easy.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I could write lyrics on long trips. And then I had a little purple Peugeot with a hatchback.
Nice.
It was amazing. And I learned to drive stick, long ago as a kid. And it was always great because, you see American bands coming over there and like, I got to have a driver. I don't know how to drive on the opposite side of the road, and I can't drive with the stick shift on the left hand, And I just always had that ability to like, oh, yeah, okay, let's get this car. And you know how to drive it? Yeah, it was fun. First time I ever did it, though.
This question, because I've never driven a car in the UK. Is the gas pedal on the left? Or is it still on the...
No, the clutch is on the left, the gas pedal's on the right, and then there's the brake. And then a shifter left hand. The shifter's left hand, yeah.
Yeah, if it was on the right side, you wouldn't be able to get out.
No.
Unless you were in a rickshaw.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. I want to go back to this thing because it seems like when in the timeline of how you're laying out your experience, your career in wellness sort of seems to vaguely coincide with your time in the straight edge world. Is that accurate?
I was maybe when I got it. Yeah. Well, so I started really young and probably about 17 or 18. I got involved with the straight edge kids. And I was just around people who smoked, who drank heavily, who shot up heroin and different drugs. I was touring with a band called Ruination, a progressive metal band when I was a kid. My guitar skills were getting really good before I realized I had a natural voice. that I had the confidence to sing in front of people. When I was 13 and 14, I had all the guitar chops, and people would come out to see this young kid playing in such a way, right? So that, but all the guys in my band were really skilled guys. Singer was amazing. It was like the singer for Metal Church, but better, the original singer.
Yeah.
And it was so great. I wish that band had something that was, I know we have VHS somewhere. One of the guys has it. I still have not yet to see it, but we never had a record finished. The band broke up before that, but we spent 2 years of actually traveling and building up a following, and then things
You're all
imploded.
teenagers.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I snuck out of my mother's house at 13. I was gone for 10 days in the summertime.
Right.
And we had payphones then. So it was like, it was, my mother wasn't happy, but
yeah, payphones and Thomas guides.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was really great because that's when I knew I really wanted to do it. And then Mike Jones, the singer of the band, he's like, dude, we got to get you singing. I heard you sing. So then all I was doing was barking on the microphone or singing a harmony or whatever. I wasn't really doing anything because I was too afraid. And then, but it was funny because when I got hooked up with the straight edge guys, I just saw so many people just sucking down these chemicals. And I'm going, I thought music was supposed to be fun. And I'd ask like, well, why are you doing that? Oh, dude, it just makes it so much better. I'm like, how much better could it be if this feels the best it could feel? Right. And I was curious until I saw the outcome of so many people, and being of conscious thought, I went, I don't really want to do that. And then it just kept going on and on and on. I just saw more of it, and I couldn't go into bars and stay in bars because they were so smoky. So I had to leave right after I played, and I wasn't old enough to stay in there anyway. And then I met these guys when I started. Actually, I think my first year of college. That's when I'm terrible with timelines. I apologize. My first year of college was the straight edge hardcore scene, and about
where'd you go to school?
Well, I went to school in Syracuse, New York. First in music school, and then I went to business school for marketing and business, and then got into holistic health more on an educational level, like just to get something on paper. But I'd been practicing for such a long time. Anyway, short story. The timeline is like, okay, so I evolved to being around kids that were just about clean living, respect for one another, and just resisting the status quo, right? I'm like, dude, this is as punk rock as it could be. I could be me in this thing, and no one's judging me. They're just like, yeah, dude, welcome. Come and hang out. It's like, we'll eat some veggie burgers and buy records and talk to each other and jam. And we would jam all in this same rehearsal space. And this guy named the Greek was like the landlord. And I got coined the Greek as well. I don't know why. It's just my drummer, Tony, at the time was like, Greek.
Mediterranean vibes.
Yes, that was his point. But Tony's Italian, so I don't get it. All my band members were Italian. So we were all a bunch of guineas playing rock and roll, And anyway, it was funny. He still calls me the Greek. And then I met the real Greek, and he charged us nothing. I mean, it was just a steal. He just charged us nothing. There was like 8 of us in there making shit tons of noise. And he just was so happy to help us. I think we paid like $50 a month.
That's amazing.
I know.
So at this point, like by the time you're in college, have you stepped up to the microphone to start singing?
Yeah, actually by the time I was 16, I did that. So I was in this band briefly after the Ruination phase called Floating Noah that started to do big numbers in the region of New York State on the western side near the Albany areas, the Rochester, Buffaloes, Rome areas, drawing in big numbers and original music. I got pulled into the band by a guy who found me playing with the original band I was telling you about, the progressive metal band. And he wanted me in the band so bad. I forget how he did it, but I ended up singing with him and playing guitar. And the next thing I know, I'm writing these songs, and we do a record, and the recording's not amazing, you know, we're on a limited budget. And then we're playing in front of 200-300 people, and then 300-400 people. And then he says, you know, we should do some covers. And I went, I was like, ew. You just let the air out of my balloon, dude.
Right.
I had no interest in that. I'm like, why?
It's already going well.
Yeah. Well, we could really double our numbers. And, you know, we want to do stuff from like Soundgarden and Alice in Chains and artists whose voices transcend that all these other acts can't perform. And I think this could help. So I said, well, give it a shot. Like throwing a few in, right? I'll do that. So the first song we did was Jesus Christ Pose from Soundgarden.
Yeah.
And when I did that song, the first time that it was heard about, and the group that people that were there that followed us saw it was like they were talking about it. And the next time we played, it was like, lock the door, we're at capacity. So,
right.
So I thought, okay,
that you could sing the shit out of that song.
Yeah. And it was crazy fun. And then we were picking other songs on the catalog, and then they were just finding all these songs that we could do that people would be impressed with.
Right.
And they liked the original material. So anyway, it just became where we were half cover band, half original. And then the founder of that group didn't want to go any further, and he really held me back a lot. And I got pissed off and went out on my own and went traveling the world.
Right.
And yeah, but that was when I got into Samsara in the hardcore scene. And then, you know, we got with labels, changed our name to Tread, and we evolved. And then I sent 40 songs to 10 different A&R record companies, and I sat down in their offices and, oh, you guys got hits, but you're not the brand of rock that's trending right now. So,
right.
And then my lawyer's like, they're going to shelve you, man. He goes, you got hits. You got any one of these songs could go at radio. Mike, I'm telling you, I get it. I get you guys, but they're not going to get it. It's got to be something that these suit and ties can sell right away, that they can keep the trend moving and exhaust it as far as they can go. So what does it mean to shelve a record? Well, they put it on this little shelf. They wait for the trend of rock to build, and then they position you in there, and then hopefully they release the record in 6 months. I go, what do you mean hopefully? He goes, well, it could take like 2 years, but they'll give you money to live. And
usually
some of our deals were
usually it does.
Yeah, it's recoupable, right? Usually it doesn't come out. So then we got put on the MTV's Campus Invasion tour. We did 5 or 6 dates with Sum 41 and American Hi-Fi, and Saliva was on some of those. And boy, did I hate those guys. And they were just not nice men at the time.
Yeah,
they weren't. And Tracy, the drummer for American Hi-Fi, was saying, "Don't worry about those guys. They're moody, you know." We got cool with them later, but they came on and off the tour for a while. Anyway, they positioned us. Sum 41 basically said, "Yeah, dude, why don't you guys play like after us?" I'm like, "Why?" They wanted to go. That's my cat.
They wanted a better slot.
Yeah, they wanted an early slot for some reason.
Yeah.
And but it was packed. Every night was packed, and we sold out of merch before we can even do anything. And then we're signing posters from the other bands with our signatures, which was really weird. Anyway, I don't know. Am I losing you here? I feel like I'm losing you. Am I losing you?
Well, I do want to circle back, and I want to talk about your transition from being a guitar player. And so now that I hear this, I've been wondering, and I wanted to ask you on your more recent recordings, that's you playing all the guitars. Yeah.
Yeah.
The guitar playing is fucking great. And I wanted to be sure to tell you how great it was, unless it wasn't you. And then I'd be like, yeah, well, you guys, okay.
Yeah. The majority of stuff, the snippet stuff, it's mostly vocal and then some guitar, but Peter Walker does a lot of the guitar in that. Then we do some bass, and mostly Matt Hampson, my old bass player from the band Tread, he plays bass on it. And the drums are basically either sequenced real drums, but sequenced, you know, or
Yeah.
drum patches. And then occasionally drummers would send their
Yeah.
tracks to us. So the snippets thing is a production thing that Peter Walker and I do, and then I perform that live with the Problems from time to time. And I'll put, like, the last show I did in New York at Arlene's was really great, and we played a ton of snippet songs. And it's funny, Pete Walker goes, "Dude, I don't remember how to play any of those." I go, "So you could never play the show with me?" He goes, "I shit my pants. I don't remember this. I don't remember these playing any of this stuff." I go, "Oh shit, that sucks." I'm like, "You can learn them though. They're not that hard." But yeah, anything that's Mike Borgia or the Problems is 100% me, and then the snippet stuff is a conglomeration, but all the vocals obviously, and the writing is me.
So when you started to sing,
16.
because you were young,
Yeah.
how quickly were you able to gain confidence to be on the microphone and be the center of attention there? Was it
Right
like a
after
lead guitarist wet dream, or was it a cautious
cautious.
optimism thing? Yeah.
My father told me, my fathers told me, but specifically my biological father said, just don't ever put mediocrity on a pedestal. And he explained to me what that meant. And he put different examples together, right? You know, he says, just be the best as you can. You may not be number one, right? At first, but you want to be number one, as close to number one as you can, because there isn't a third, fourth place ribbon fit like there is now. There's 10th place ribbons now. Oh, you know,
Right.
you tried, you get a trophy, you know.
I mean, people will tell you all the time, and in the four agreements, anyway, do your best,
Yeah.
right? It's easier said than done. Because how
It is. Yeah.
do you
Well,
come to a full stop every time you see a stop sign? Because if you did, you'd do your best driving. That
yeah.
you know,
Yeah. I do for
uh,
a while. After I get
right?
a ticket, then I start doing it all the time. And
Sure.
then I get comfortable again and I stop doing it. But no, I was in my bedroom singing to try to think of what it was. I was warming up and singing to everything from Steve Perry of Journey, right? My sisters turned me on to that stuff. I didn't know anything about Asia other than my sisters and my cousin brought me onto all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
I was doing that, singing to that. And then, you know who Roy Orbison is?
Of course.
Right. My father told me I sounded like him. So I was listening to his stuff on tape, you know, we had the dual cassette player and stuff, and I had records and everything. But my parents were standing by the door for probably 40 minutes and they knocked on the door and I'm like, turned everything off. I'm like, quiet as a bit, you know, quiet as a mouse. Michael, yeah. You have a beautiful voice. Oh man, you were listening. Oh no, listen.
Get
It was just
out
my
of
parents.
here.
Yeah, I was like, get down. I did slam the door on him. I'm like, Jesus, you know. And I figured I could be singing Jimmy Crack Corn and they would come laugh, you know, oh, you're great.
Right.
But see, my family wasn't really like that. And then they saw me perform live, and that's where I really got the confidence to do it. The first show I ever did. You know what it is? A friend of mine, I can't remember who, told me, look over the audience. Don't look
Yeah.
at the audience. Just look over the audience and pretend nobody's there, right? And you're just in your rehearsal room. And that's what I did. And I got through the first show. And after that, I was like, all right, I had enough people telling me I could sing. So I did that. And I got over the guitar shredding idea.
Right. Did you have any technical schooling in either like vocal coaching or guitar instruction?
Never had any vocal coaching.
Wow.
Later on, somebody taught me how to breathe better through it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember who. But all in all, I think it was just a natural thing. I rarely hurt my voice unless I couldn't hear myself. The monitor systems were screwed up, you know.
Yeah.
And but yeah, vocals, guitar. I'd have to say in the beginning, there was a guy named Donnie Wilson. He was a session guy, played in a lot of different bands over the years. And my sister knew him, and she said, Michael, maybe help him, let him give you lessons. So instead of being completely self-taught, he can help you make sense out of guitar solos, things like that. So I took maybe a couple of months of lessons from him, and he was really showing me different scales and how to make sense out of those and just give me a gauge. He's like, you don't have to follow all this stuff. It's just something that you can find your style with. And then when I decided I needed to go to college, when I went to music school first, I was in classical guitar, which I did very well. And I played all these schools with an 8-man guitar ensemble, and I had to play a solo, and then the guitars are playing behind me, and then I would step back and someone else would get to play a solo. Not everybody got to, but those who were confident enough. So that was highly disciplinary. I'm glad I did it, but I didn't want to become a Juilliard student,
Sure.
because I just didn't want to do that. And that was the goal where they were trying to bring me. I'm like, that's just not my thing. Right. So
you're playing nylon string and fingerstyle? Yeah.
Yeah, which was cool for a little bit. And then, the 90s were such an awesome era for music that I love the 70s. I was a big fan of the Doors, and I really just thought they were the most unique band I'd ever heard. Nobody played jazz and blues and rock and roll all together in such a way like they did. And the poetic nature of the lyrics and just his performance, it's just integral. I don't know. To me, I mean, some people hate the Doors. I actually really loved the Doors. And so all the early era bands like that I loved. And then the 80s came, right? And it's all the hair metal really irritated the crap out of me. I wasn't a huge fan. Not of everything. Like, not everything was bad to me, but I was like, this is like the demise. I just like, what? Like, I got the dudes dressing like girls to get the chicks, right? I understood the concept of that. And then Motley Crue came around. I'm like, it'd be cooler if we did this, right? Pull it back a little bit after, Too Fast for Love and Shout at the Devil. They just kind of we're a heavy metal band essentially.
More of a rock band.
Yeah. And then Guns N' Roses got them out of there a little even more. Started to fizzle it out. It was funny when I heard Dee Snider like, "Well, what killed metal is they unplugged their amps and they started playing acoustic guitars." I was like, "Of course that killed metal." I was like, and these guys are wearing lipstick and like swinging their hair back and forth, It's crazy.
Do you have a favorite 90s band?
Favorite? Man. There's just so many. I don't like to make favorites, but I'll say the Afghan Wigs, Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, the Jesus and Mary Chain, a little bit of Nine Inch Nails, here and there. Sometimes I get tickled. Other times I'm like, nah. What was I'd love
Afghan Wigs is a band that is often overlooked.
Played big rooms when they came back. They are. When they came back and started touring again as the Afghan Wigs, they were bigger than they ever were in the 90s.
Yeah.
Yep. They were bigger than they ever were in the 90s. That was cool as hell to me. And then what was another one that I really loved? I loved there's the camera again. What's going on there? I loved Mark Lanigan and the Screaming Trees. Yeah. I still like Mark Lanigan's music, solo music, but Screaming Trees were great.
His solo music is great. I mean, he's just got such a voice.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Such a voice.
Nirvana were great. I dug Hole. This stuff to me was real. I hate talking like an old man about it, but it's true. I mean, you can't take music turn it into a computer, press buttons, and spin a record, and say you're a musician, right? You're a creator. You're a digital organizer. There's somewhat of an art form to it.
Sure.
It's not my thing at all, but I get it. It creates a culture, right? There's lights, there's drugs, there's dancing, you know?
Is that what culture means?
For that, it does. Yeah. For
Yeah.
that, it does. I mean, because, it's funny because when I got into concert promotion later in life and the guys I were working with, we're having to book DJ nights, and you have people standing there watching the DJ do absolutely nothing, but looking at each other going, should we be doing this? It was a weird experience.
I will say this, watching a really skilled DJ like cut it up, cut records and work a sampler live, and it's something to behold.
It
Like,
is.
it's fucking cool.
It is.
But
however, who do you know
wedding
now
DJs
who does
are-
that? Can you name someone now who plays that way? I can name a few, but I want to see if you know anybody offhand.
I mean, I have a buddy who does it, but
Okay, well, that's enough to know what it feels like, right? So
he
Ming and
gave me DJ lessons for. We swapped. I had
No kidding.
turntables and a mixer at my house,
Oh,
so
shit.
I got to get my hands dirty a little bit, and it was fun, and I had a new respect for folks who were really good at that.
Sure.
I also was able to sort of see, like, all right, well, I mean, now you might as well just make a Spotify playlist and plug your phone in, you put it on airplane mode and plug it in. There you go. Stand up there and dance.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what it is, But I remember in New York, it was Ming and FS. It was DJ Logic. These guys were instrumentalists.
Right.
Oh my God. And they would bring in, and the Beastie Boys, they would bring in real instruments and live drums with samples and create an art form.
Sure.
And same with hip hop, where it was lyrical. Somebody says, "Oh, you like hip hop?" I used to, or sometimes I do.
Right.
When they're lyrical, when they have something to say, not when they're mumbling on a microphone.
Yeah,
But
yeah, I memean, we're starting to get into the deep part of the pool now, where we're treading into the the like old man thing.
I know.
Like, well, I remember the Blueprint, and that was real hip hop.
We used to talk to each other with telegram.
But
the telegraph.
To our generation, that was real hip hop. That was, Ready to Die. That's fucking incredible. It Takes a Nation of Millions, incredible.
Yeah. Yeah,
Fuck,
for
I'll
sure.
take Gas Face over a lot of the shit that's around right now.
Yeah, right? I know. It's true. It's true.
Do you know who gets the gas face? Mumble rappers get the gas face.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. Look, I don't know anyone that really loves mumble rap. I think it's just this thing, but there's still great rap artists out there. I've heard a few. Yeah. Yeah. There's a guy named Black Zen who lives in Brooklyn, and Iron Monk, and they're coming up slowly, but they're lyricists, they're producers. They're good at what they do.
Yeah.
I played with them in Brooklyn. Yeah. Yep.
I think R.A. the Rugged Man is a fucking incredible MC.
Yeah, I would say so.
Fucking shit.
Yeah, so now you're naming some,
What a monster.
Yeah. Some people have the tongue, they have the built up for it. They just,
he's like a 50
connected.
caliber machine gun.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can move on. We don't. This isn't a hip hop. This isn't a hip hop show. Did you go through a hip hop phase where that's like where you listen to a lot, or no? It just was
No,
sort of
being a lyricist, I was open to it. And I have a good friend of mine named Ryan Gibbs. He was in an amazing band called Blessed Nation. They were on Interscope. A full band, mostly, sometimes just a 3-piece, but Ryan and Various, 2 rap artists who just lyrically, rhythmically, tonally really fit together really well. Blessed Nation put out that M Bug Out City record that got released on Interscope, and they just re-released it on Spotify.
oh,
It's
cool.
a listenable record.
Yeah.
It mixes 90s rock with hip hop in a really good way. And then Wordplay, Ryan put out a record as Wordplay. It was awesome. It was so good. We became good friends. He was going through a tough time. I helped him out. We helped each other out. Then we did this project for a little bit called Lyric and the Hunter. We were going to go further with it, but things got really heavy for him. He left New York, and we never did more than one song, but we were mixing blues with hip hop in such a cool way. And maybe we'll get back to it one day. He's a family man now, but yeah. So I did have a bout with hip hop and that, like straight on writing, and that would have been an amazing project, I think, had we been able to do it. His son's name is Hunter, and mine's Lyric, so that's where Lyric and the Hunter came.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever considered leaving New York?
Always, yeah. I did for a little bit. I was down in
that's a standard New York answer. Every day.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, every day.
During my commute.
I wasn't much of a commuter up until moving to Long Island City, Queens, but I lived, in Greenwich Village for most of it. But no, there was I was living down in Nashville for a little while, outside of, like I said, living in England and stuff. But more recently, what was it, 2015? We moved to Nashville. Wait, back up a little bit. I left New York. New York was getting heavy and tough. The industry was changing there. Took a break, subletted my apartment, went out to Kansas City, Missouri. A buddy of mine moved out there years ago. I was touring through there with a drummer he was a fan of mine, but he's also a great drummer, and he really helped me out a lot. I played for a lot of people there early on when Kansas City, Westport area of Kansas City was thriving with some really good music.
That's
and
a pretty cool
great
town.
venues and stuff. It used to be, it's definitely, things are shifting and changing. It's becoming very sleepy in the creative realm of things. There's a great place called the West Bottoms that's still pretty hip. It's like the East Village of New York City without all the filth.
Right.
It's, yeah. It's like having rubber gloves on, but dipping your hands in sewage with rubber gloves on. You know what I mean? Where it's like New York City's East Village is straight sewage.
Yeah, you don't get the rubber gloves.
You don't get the rubber gloves, no.
They don't exist.
No, they don't exist, Yeah. So that was cool, like it's very hard to talk about my life history because it's so vast, and it takes me time to remember so many experiences that I had. And I have no regrets of it all, but all these constant developments into sustained
trying to like you're not a person that is bridled by fear of opportunity.
Not at all. No. Yeah.
And I mean, what it sounds like to me is like if an opportunity arises, you follow it, and that's I think that's good. How did you end up in Nashville, and tell me about your experience there, because Music City, they call it. It's
Again,
changed
former
a lot over the last,
still musical.
Forever.
Yeah. I don't think it deserves the coin Music City anymore, but it did for a long time. But getting to that in a second. So Kansas City, 2 years or so, I ran out of ideas. I had burst the bubble. It's a small town. I worked with my buddies, Tim and Dallas, who owned the Riot Room in Kansas City. I did marketing and talent buying for them. We made money together. I had great shows myself at their sister venue, Czar. I brought in some really good talent to their sister venue, Czar, that was in the downtown area of Kansas City. And then I brought in a bunch of great acts at the Riot Room, and we worked really well together. It was awesome. I could go on tour, come back, and they were just because they were in a band that we crossed paths on and we toured with through the Midwest. And they were good for a while. And, they became family men, and they gave up the industry in that way. And they started the venue. Their dad passed away, and they took over what was called the Hurricane previously. They took over the Riot Room. I outgrew that.
I think I played the Hurricane.
You've been around long enough. You might have played the Hurricane. Yeah. Yeah. It had a circular bar when you walk in. It's possible. You probably maybe played Davies Uptown. I played there a lot. That was a place I did really well.
Was the Hurricane in a part of town where a lot of brick buildings? It was like it used to be the industrial part of town, and now it was like
not tall buildings, but brick. Yeah,
it's where the brew pubs are, but also where the bachelorette parties happen.
Yeah. Yeah, it was Westport, Kansas City, and then just below that was the Plaza, which is more shopping and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, long story short, I had a girlfriend at the time there, and then I met my wife there and stuff, and things evolved, and then her and I just decided to go to Nashville. Short story, Music City. Had a lot of friends that moved down there. I was nervous because I'm a rock musician in a country Americana town, and I knew the rock community was not very big. But I proved myself. I was lucky. A guy named Mike Grimes, who owns Grimey's Music, and he owns the Basement in Nashville. I forget how I got connected with him. I think through a friend. I had a meeting with him. I was trying to find a job with a venue, like I did in Kansas City. He said, well, he's too small, and him and Dave are partners anyway. So they were good guys. They helped introduce me to other talent buyers at different clubs, and they helped me get moving. They're like, wow, you hit the ground running. Jesus, you already know all these people. And I'm like, well, I got to do what I have to do. And so he was graceful and helpful, and saw that he could trust what he was putting out there. And then I made everything happen that I needed to there. I built a following. I booked big bands in their rooms in Mercy Lounge and the Basement, and packed them in, and they made money. I made money. The venue made money. And I was, doing the talent buying thing and stuff. And that was fun. And I only quit after 2020, and then I just outgrew that. I felt like, Nashville's very small. I saw it dipping again. Medical industry, big tech moving in. They were complaining about the live music. Ascend Amphitheater moved in, and the artist loss were right there. And they're complaining over and over about the noise. And I thought, what happened? So,
did you have an opportunity to play music while you were there?
That's all I did. Yeah, I did talent buying as part of a supplement in my income.
Right.
But it was, I played a lot down there. The first show I did was like a songwriters circle at this place called the Poorhouse, and all the seats filled in, and I played with some really great players. Oh my God. And we were all sharing songs in that circle, and I got really good response. And then boom, it just started to steamroll. And then, the band Y&T?
Dave Manichetti.
Yes. His wife, Julie, and him are great people. We got to tour together regionally throughout the Midwest, different places, because I would introduce them to new venues and new opportunities. And then Julie would take over, and I was no longer that part of it, but the opportunity was, okay, if I get a new venue, and then my band, The Problems, would play with them. It was just us and them, because we both had a lot of songs. They didn't need or want a lot of support acts, right?
Right.
And they're just a great band. And so anyway, we got a lot of those opportunities. The first show we played with them, I booked them at Mercy Lounge, and on a Tuesday night, there's 350 people there. And it was wonderful to do that. And then from that point on, I was pretty much able to do what I wanted in Nashville. one of my first shows touring before I lived there was at the Exit Inn. So it was just a wonderful experience. And now I play Franklin a lot. I don't play Nashville proper very much. So I tend to do really well in Franklin, Tennessee. I'll play Mockingbird Theater. My buddy owns Kimbrough's, and it's great. And I got a lot of great friends there and people who we respect each other. And there's a lot of people who respect the music. And I play down there once or twice a year now, and I do well all around. And I'd like to do that more in different parts of the States, but
Right.
yeah, I don't know.
Did Nashville have an effect on your songwriting style at all? Did you feel any of that creep in, from like doing these songwriter circles or just being in the environment of a town with such a rich history and country and roots music?
Well, the interesting thing was people saw more blues and Americana in my music, even before I got to Nashville. And I didn't know why. Maybe it's because I heard the Roy Orbisons, the Tom Pettys, the Hank Williams Jr.'s, the Johnny Cashes, and those were the people I thought, were country music, and Willie Nelson. Those guys to me were real. That didn't seem like country to me. It just was like folk music. And
Right.
but it was weird because when I got down there, it was very rock and roll, but I had songs in my catalog already that would fit with some of the songwriters circles that could translate. You could put a pedal steel to it and it would sound like a country song.
Right.
And that was pretty easy, but so I could cross over between what was there in rock and what was there in Americana and country.
Let's
And
face it, a lot of players that end up there came from LA, right?
they did. Most of
they
my
were
friends are
doing
LA people.
they were playing rock music in LA.
Yeah, of course.
They're playing rock and pop.
Yeah. But the core of the players in Nashville and in Franklin, Tennessee they're country guys. A lot of them are. Yeah, there's a small community of LA people. Most of my friends were from New York and LA down there. But then I met the core of the people in Nashville. See, me, every town I go into, whether I occupy it for a time or I just visit every year, I want to go with where the locals are doing. I want to know the culture. I don't want all the lights and glitter. I want the culture. So that was great. And then I just outgrew it. And then there were things that New York gives you that nowhere in the US does. And I looked at my wife. She's like, "You want to go back to? I'm bored. You want to go back to New York?" I said, "Yeah."
You mean like pizza at 1 a.m?
Yeah, no, that's not my thing, but yeah, of course.
Right.
But in a way, maybe that's not what she said, but I mean, it was like, I think it's going to be better for you. So there were some things that happened when I was down there that seemed to shift. Like certain ideologies just won't change with the core of the people there. It's
Right.
a cultural disconnect. So we said, in order for us to like appreciate it more, maybe we should just go back to New York, And for a while, New York was serving us well. And I mean, it still is in a way, in a whole different way.
It's
But
not really
when
serving anyone really well,
no,
because New York's not able to be New York.
Yeah. And there are pulls. There's like some sort of magnetic pull away from that. It's being stripped away for reasons not in any of our control. Right.
Right.
So it was great. It was great in terms of the culture changed, but you still can enjoy a lot of things in New York that you couldn't elsewhere. And then 2020 came and I'm like, you know what? Just going to focus on what I can focus on. We traveled a lot. We got out of New York as much as we could. And we're like, well, if it comes back, great. But we have our work here in our studio, in the wellness studio. We share a wellness studio. She does holistic skincare and she's a Reiki master. And so when I'm not working, she takes days, we split up the days and the weeks and it works out great. So, we still have something to look forward to and we're not worried about the nightlife or the culture. Cause I mean, It's just not there. But
Right.
but like I said, for us now at our age, our level of maturity, we're not seeking out the next big thing or the what's hot right now or what's exciting.
Right.
We've been there, done that, right? You've been there and done that. You traveled, you know what's going on in the world, and you've gotten a lot of that out of your system in some way, right?
Yeah, it's funny. I don't know. I wouldn't call it patience. I wouldn't call it calm. I don't know what I would call it. Pace, I guess. Just there's a different pace to life now than there used to be.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, different
Although I
pace.
don't waste a lot of time.
That's good.
I used to waste a lot of time, I think. It feels like that if you look back. I mean, I don't know your age, and I won't. Whatever, you can tell me if you like. Uh, but you're 10 years older than you were 10 years ago. So is it? We all are.
Good point.
So sometimes it's important to state the obvious.
Captain Obvious flies again.
What have you noticed in yourself over the last 10 years that has changed in the way you do things? It sounds like, you've had a pretty healthy approach to most everything you've done, probably because of the foundational work on your physical health.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't be the best at what you do. And that's not better than anyone else. It's just the best at what you do. Your optimal self, right? My optimal self is always striving to reach that next peak, but organically, without any force, without any enhancements, allowing the planet I live on and the organism that I am to connect with it in a way and keep myself grounded so I can keep moving forward. If I'm focused on what I can't do at the moment, I'll never get to the next phase. And I spent a lot of my youth relying on people who didn't have the same motivations as I did. But I don't look at that as like a negative. I just go, well, I learned a valuable lesson about that.
Right.
And I'm learning that now. There are things that I could get involved in that have so much potential that I just cannot because the environment isn't healthy and I can't put up with it for the sake of money.
You're talking about OnlyFans right now?
Oh, my OnlyFans profile. Yes. Yeah. And I thought there was enough there to show, but people just, there's always someone bigger than you and there's nothing you can do about it.
It's true.
OnlyFans. I saw yours and I sent it to your wife and I said, do you know about this?
Do you know about this? She said, yeah, I'm the camera person.
The camera person. Mike Squirmy Squires.
Did you ever do psychedelic drugs? You were talking about the planet and yourself and sort of as a singular thing. Maybe not explicitly, you didn't state it that way, but I could read the fine print in what you were saying. And
well,
that's an opinion that people who have not done psychedelic drugs don't often express, but people who have done psychedelic drugs almost exclusively express.
the answer is no. I've not done psychedelic drugs, and for good reason.
They're
However,
because of Johnny Law.
No, not at all. Actually, no. I just understanding our brain and why it functions at percentages at different times. When you stimulate your brain in its entirety and you allow the psychotropic effect to do that, you can create a lot of imbalances and things that could cause cellular degeneration, and it's not wise to do it in abundance. Now, if you want to have an experience that changes your brain chemistry in a way that may help you for something that you're dealing with, I'd say that's a better approach than pills.
Oh,
It's
sure.
biosynthetics, which have no means of healing us whatsoever. And there's no proof to that ever being a thing.
Mushrooms
But
are pretty good though. Mushrooms, I like mushrooms.
well, those are psychedelic drugs. Yeah, for sure.
And
You
they're
have to be
organic.
very careful.
Sure.
Yes, but you still have to be very careful. Even good things, things that are good for you, can be terribly unhealthy if
Sure.
administered for too long and in too much that your body can't handle. You know, I feel high when I eat well. Like I exercise a lot. I eat well 98% of the time. And there are times I feel like someone drugged me when I eat, you know,
Right.
because it's like when you're feeding your body the fuel it needs, it's like, oh, all the dopamine and endorphins and all the natural chemicals and hormones that are in your body just balance out, and your organs, everything's functioning at the optimal levels. And that you have to be able to tap into that in some way. And you could do that. Exercise can be very meditative if you find the rhythm in that. And I'm teaching my wife now about the breathing rhythm to get through the pain of exercise can be euphoric. And I do things in exercise that could be very painful for people. But when I'm able to have the endurance that I have, it's a shock to the person who wants to be in the room with me going, why aren't you passing out on the floor? Because I found a rhythm, the breathing
Right.
rhythm that oxygenates and keeps my body fully oxygenated as I'm going through the rhythm and the process of that exercise. And then I listen to my body when I have to stop. So I'm just connected in a different way. And that's why I never needed drugs to do any of that stuff.
Do you
I,
meditate?
yeah,
Is that a daily
yep.
practice for you?
Not daily, but when I feel like I need to, I definitely do. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes you get a lot of anxiety when you're helping people. After a while, that stress catches up with you, and
Sure.
just the things in the world that you expose yourself to. And yeah, 2020 took a piece out of me uh,
Why? Did something happen?
in that way.
Hey
My
yo.
bathroom door kept squeaking and it wouldn't stop squeaking. The bathroom door wouldn't stop. So I said, you know what? It kept me up for days on end. Um, yeah, I know. I said, let's not talk about that. Um, it, I don't know. It's funny because people always want to talk to people in these things that have some sort of something attached to them that is admirable in a way, right? Maybe notable in a certain element, right? And then um, I always like to talk to people who have experienced all of it, and I consider a lot of people famous and successful, right? And I could say the same about you because you set things, you accomplish them, you're successful because you set out to do them and you accomplish them. That makes you famous,
Oh,
you know, because you're famous, but what 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 that means is different for everybody, right? So, and successful, of course, successful is an important element of it. So, if you
depending on
set a
how you
goal,
measure success, of course. Right.
well, yeah, yeah, success is mostly measured in America as how much money do you make, right?
Right. If you no matter what, if you Google search someone's name, the first thing that pops up is how much are they worth?
Yeah, net worth.
Yeah, which
Yeah,
is really gross to me. It turns my stomach.
absolutely, absolutely. That's why we live in an ugly place.
But
And
but I agree with you. If you are creating something and you conceptualize it and you complete it, um, it's a success. Now,
Yeah.
how it's received and what happens to it afterwards is another story. You know,
Yeah. If you could
not
change
not
one person's
necessarily a
life, though.
different story, but it's another story.
Yeah. Yeah. But if you could change one person's life, right, in a month,
I would change
in a
my own.
year, well, that's important, right? Self improvement's important. But when people ask me, oh, how do you measure success? Well, I'm one of the most successful people out there, not famous necessarily, but I succeed every day. I accomplish so many things. It's like I'm successful. But I'm also very wealthy. But see how that sounds, right? In our minds, he's wealthy. He must have money. He's got all
What's he
this money
driving?
in his. He's got his money in his pockets. He's got money. you know,
Sure.
it. Yeah. Oh my God, he's so successful. But um, I did a talk in Franklin, Tennessee, at a music school that closed down eventually. But the kids were having big producers and industry people talk to them about music. And these guys were getting positioned and privileged through the whole process. And they didn't talk to these kids about the reality of it. And then I come out there and I'm just this independent artist and I spew out my experiences and my knowledge and I tell them the realities of the industry and that nobody's going to serve you anything and it's all by chance and you have to keep working at it and staying out there and then you might get a shot, but there is nobody is guaranteeing you anything. You have to do it for the love, and you have to hope that one day when you turn around, somebody taps you on the shoulder and says, "I want to give you a nudge. I really believe in this, and I have the power to do it." And so when they asked me, I said, "I'm a very, very wealthy person, and I'm extremely successful." And they looked at me like, "What the hell?" I said, because every goal I set out to accomplish in some way, I've accomplished it. Maybe not directly and sometimes indirectly, right? And then when they said, well, you make a lot of money, I'm like, no, I have, but no. It's wealth comes from personal satisfaction, personal growth, how you feel about yourself and how you
Sure.
feel about, and then treating your body in a way that feels like you can tackle anything. You have to treat yourself well. And that's the ultimate wealth. And then money comes to you when it needs to come to you. And we're very focused, hyper focused on. Normally, it's like how famous can I be, and how wealthy can I be, and
And
then
how
sometimes,
quickly?
and how quickly can I? Yeah, because there's a magic bullet for your health, perceptively, but deceptively, and there's a magic bullet and there's key to success, and I have them. Where are my keys? Go get them. I'm going to give them to you. I'm going to give you the keys to success.
I'll just
And the key to success.
I'll be happy with the keys to the city.
Yeah. Well, it's empty, so you can have the keys to the
Right.
city. I feel like in Manhattan specifically, I feel like when I walk around, I could just walk anywhere and be in someone's living room and they left
Right.
the door open and there's no furniture.
I've told this story on the podcast a couple times, but during the peak of the pandemic, I took a free left on Canal. I took,
Did you?
coming across from New Jersey, coming over to Brooklyn, coming down
Yeah.
from upstate, came through the
Yeah.
tunnel. I
The
got
Holland Tunnel.
all the way across Lower Manhattan in like 7 minutes, and took a free left on Canal Street.
Yeah.
Just like green light, and there's just like no cars, which is
Yeah. Yeah.
unbelievable, unheard
Yeah.
of.
Now, there are pockets of Manhattan, wealthy areas like Greenwich Village and Tribeca, that are doing well in the real estate and the rental and buyer market. The city's coming back based on who you talk to.
Sure.
And this is all monetarily speaking. And, but we could talk about the end of days of New York, and that's inevitable. Anything that lives that high of standard is going to fall. And cities are not sustainable.
Well, anything that close to the water.
And anything that's close to, yeah, that's true. Anything that close to the water, yeah.
New Atlantis is going to be the name for New York.
New Atlantis.
You betcha.
Yeah. Yeah. Do I sound crazy when I say this, though? When I talked about success and like my wealth.
No, I don't think so.
No, because I look at even yourself. You're a wealthy man, and you have to realize how wealthy you are.
Our perspectives are so fucked up.
They are.
We are fed constant information that you have. After a while, you build a tolerance for the original message, so they up the dosage, and now we're at fever pitch, and you're just bombarded by information. You have to do this. You need this. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, it's true.
It doesn't matter. Was that your kitty cat?
Yeah, he's climbing on me because he needs attention.
I see your kitty going back and forth behind you there.
Oh, did
Let's talk about your latest release before it gets away from us.
Oh yeah. So the latest single is "Desperate Wishes," and it's really about knowing the world is changing and accepting that, and you want peace in knowing that, and that's all you're looking for. And that's a new single of many songs that I've written, which is certainly with the snippets and not really including the solo material. It's 178 songs since 2020 alone.
Wow. So
I'm constantly re-inspired, but this single's doing well. It's doing really well. And it's nice to be appreciated for putting your heart out there on your sleeve. And there's one before that I'm very fond of called Remember, that was written in the height of the pandemic.
Yeah.
So that's the latest one, Desperate Wishes. And I would say the follow-up was Remember, but I'm pumping it out really fast, Mike, That's how it's going.
Well,
what?
Smoke 'em if you got 'em is what I say. Which is maybe a bad analogy, but you catch my drift. You have such a strong voice, but to simply pay you that compliment, I feel like is short payment, because your sense of melody is really incredible. There's not a lot of stock. You hear some history there. You hear some musical history there, but there's nothing stock there, and there's a lot of interesting turns in your melodies, and I'm wondering where that inspiration comes from.
I'm specifically, I don't know. I would guess that I always like to be punk rock about everything I do. I don't want to go my own way just for the sake of being rebellious. But in my rebellious nature, knowing my ability, I want to travel places that aren't gone too often, and somebody like Steven Tyler, I wouldn't say that he's an influence in that way vocally. Great vocalist, great band, a melody genius, I think. But I didn't discover that till much later, right? You know, how good he was. But there's a guy named Chris Whitley who was signed to Columbia, who I think is basically my spirit animal. The guy who's a lyrical, poetic genius in my eyes, a Delta blues master, a unique creature like no one I've ever heard. And I saw him play on so many occasions in New York. And when I was in London performing, he played the next night at the Borderline. And I had a day. If I took that day, I would have had to race to get to Manchester, and it was worth it the next day.
Yeah.
But it wasn't that far to Manchester, only 2 hours from London. But he played the next night, and I said, I have to go. And I saw him there. And I said hello because I'd met Susan Berger, his fiance at the time, and he was around New York City and Greenwich Village and stuff. And I said, you know, and he goes, I saw your poster on the wall, because I didn't think you'd be here, but I saw it over there. And he's just, you know, it's tragic, you know, his being ill and getting cancer and stuff, but I just don't really, and he's not a profoundly robust singer, but his in-betweens and the things that he can pull out melody-wise, and his daughter Trixie the same way. To me, it's like from that to Roy Orbison, and that's where the inspiration came from. And then somebody like Chris Cornell, I really didn't know my ability until I just tried to sing one of his songs because I was asked to do it.
Right.
And then it started to come out. Well, you remind me of Steve Perry and Chris Cornell. I'm like, well, that's a wonderful compliment. Thank you. And at the time, I didn't really like Journey, but I thought his voice was amazing.
Sure.
You know? And then
I never,
you know, you grow.
never fully appreciated Chris Cornell's vocal abilities until I saw him play solo acoustic. And it fucking knocked my dick in the dirt. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, his solo. Higher Truth is his best record, and but the songbook record is really good. I saw him at Town Hall, maybe 2011 or 12. He was brilliant. Yes. He was off the drugs and the alcohol, you know, but the drugs and all that stuff really hurt his voice. Even in Soundgarden, he was hit or miss live. I got to open for them at years ago. Well, 2011, I think.
For Soundgarden.
It was a last minute thing at Red Rocks Amphitheater, last minute thing, but it was great. Yeah. And it was hard to sing at that elevation, but he was really good. Soundgarden was amazing then. The Mars Volta played. They're a studio band. That's all I'm going to say. No business playing live. It's a train wreck. It was I'll just say maybe they were all on drugs at the time. Maybe, I don't know. But the audience was like, ooh, looking back at each other.
Well, it's
great studio band.
It's pretty crazy music, you know.
It is
on record. It's very unconventional, super prog, and very a lot of energy. These kids, a lot of energy.
Yeah.
Live, maybe in a small venue, I think it translates better. I saw them on a big stage also, and I was like, it's kind of lost out here.
Yeah. It's just sometimes that stuff does get lost. Yeah, for sure.
The energy flying away.
Yeah.
Flying away.
I don't know.
How did the Snippets thing come to be? Like,
So the guy, Peter Walker's the reason why I had the lawyer I had and the connections I had. And then he moved from New York to Surfside Beach, South Carolina, got out of New York. Industry changed. He used to be a hired gun, played in bands. He was successful. And then he started doing mix engineering and producing. He found me early, post Samsara into Tread. We were label shopping. He found us, recorded us for free. um, which was rare. And he did it, and he made us record and rehearse in the studio like the bigger bands did, and cut our teeth and get ready for the stage and all that stuff in a different way. He moved down to Surfside Beach, South Carolina, became a charter boat captain. And he was looking for songs, short snippets, he said, songs for the charter boat to promote his charter boating for these guys. So we started off doing that, and it was like, well, people's attention span, they don't even finish masturbating anymore. They click off before they get to the finish line. They lose interest before they even finish masturbating. So we decided to do a minute and a half songs on average, and then it started to develop. And he's like, how the hell are we how are we doing this so successfully, and so many at a time, and hook upon hook upon hook? That's my specialty, though. Songwriting is my specialty. If I wanted to produce, I produced a couple of records that were good. Bands didn't have what it took to do anything meaningful, but they went that far as to say, I'm going to let this guy produce my record.
Right.
Yeah. And if the industry were different, I would get into that more, and I would help nurture younger acts and make them write great songs. But so your album reminded me of that. I'm like, well, that's even shorter than the snippets, man. 15 seconds. And I'm going, that son of a.
Well,
so
the conscious decision with that was that it's modeled after social media.
Yes, I got it right away.
The shape of the book, the images and the stories and the songs being that long. Well, let me ask you this, because it's relatable to what I did. And so, because I knew it, like my album was pre-conceptualized, right? I knew, okay, my songs are going to be 15 seconds long, and that's that. And, my book, the packaging for the record will be this. So I knew I had I had guidelines or parameters that I was working within. Do you find that having the parameters that you are going, your song's going to be a minute and a half, do you find that helps get the machine rolling? Because you're like, all right, it's going to be a minute and a half long. I want to create as much of an arc as I can within that amount of time.
You would think that if they were all exactly a minute and a half or close to that would be the case, but they go over under a lot.
Sure.
And Pete will send a guitar riff or something that he's not even sure where it's going to go. And he loves the fact that when I send it back to him with all the bells and whistles, all the vocal melodies and the lyrics and all this stuff, and he's like, he loves to press play on it and be like, all right, what did he do? And he doesn't know what to expect, and he thinks he hears what's going to be on there, and he's wrong every time. And so we just work so well together. He's known me since I was a kid,
right.
There's
something exciting about collaborating in that way. It's not the same as writing a song in a room with someone, but sending ideas back and forth, there's almost like a pen pal excitement.
Yeah.
It's like a musical conversation in slow motion. And it's pretty exciting, I think. That's how a lot of the Union gospel stuff was done. And
yeah, I have that record right here.
Do you like to do it like that? Is it because it's different?
I accept it, but I don't always do it that way. I go visit them. Even during 2020, I did this song called "I'm Not Ready," a Problem single that's released recently, and that's a killer song, and that's still doing well. But it's we do things together in the studio. We're there with each other as much as we can, and it's just scheduling why we're not. But we accept the fact that some of this is going to be virtual because we don't live in the same state. If we lived in the
Sure.
same state, I'd probably be there often. But there's something about hearing, like I'll hear a melody right away and know what I'm going to do with it, and I could write a song on the fly, and it'll be and because it feels meaningful to do that, it feels natural and meaningful to express myself in that way. And then I got a little heat for a song on the Snippets Volume 12 record that's being finished about a song called 173 because these are all numbered.
Right.
Well, it is literally it's about Satan, is what it's about.
That one stood out to me, and
Yeah.
I thought it was great.
See, you understood it, and then people would say, "I don't know that everyone's going to understand it," and I said,
Who cares?
"Huh? I don't care." And they said, "Well, aren't you worried about your reputation?" I said, "No. Why? Why? Why should I be worried about how I feel being a prisoner of Catholic religion?" And to me, this is not discrediting anyone's spirituality. To me, I was a prisoner of that ideology of life,
Right.
and I'll always refuse to accept the idea of religion in any form. That's just me. Except for shamanism.
Sure. Those organizations are the people who instill the idea of the devil or Satan or, whatever,
Right.
some evil demon that is just lurking around the corner making you do bad things.
Yeah, exactly. I like the mystique of Satan. I tell my mother I love Satan. She goes, "Don't say that. That's I go, "Mother, it's just a fictional character to me." And I like the idea of it. I like the fight between good and evil,
Right. The chessboard.
pick of yeah. It's great. I'm just going to sing about what I want to sing about.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I think it's great.
I'm glad I knew someone would get it.
I think it's
my wife's
great.
like, "That's not my favorite song." It's not my favorite song.
You're like, "Oh, well, that's okay. I'll have 4 more next month."
Yeah, exactly.
Or next
Yeah.
week, probably.
I got a new Delta Blues track that I want to release soon. I don't have a schedule for these things anymore. I put them out there. They're going to stay new for a while because people can't they can't consume all of that at once anyway. And they can't seem to consume records all at once. So
there's less of a rhyme. There's no rhyme or reason to how you should. I mean, unless you're like, all right, I'm gonna go do the the spring and summer festivals in Europe. Then okay, sure, release your record in March or April.
Yeah.
That's smart. But if those things aren't on your calendar, you do whatever you want. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and that's the freedom that we have now. We're not restrictive to the industry telling us what we should and shouldn't do. And yeah. But you can't stop writing. You have to keep doing what you love to do as long as you love to do it, of course. And I think if we can get around our relationships with money and what we're taught to value, we can really enjoy life more. And this is why I say my estimation of you is that you're a very wealthy person. And you can figure out what I mean by that easily by looking around you.
For sure.
And what you have and what you've maintained and what you've kept with you in your life from just your experiences to the people directly involved in your life. And maybe in the future you have everything you need already there. So that's what makes you extremely wealthy. If you ask for more, you're a pig. And, you know,
Hey,
it's
that's
just,
my right.
it is your right. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
No, you're right. No, I have love. I have comfort, physical comfort. I have
Yeah.
decades of friendships, decades
Right.
long friendships that will prevail through my entire lifetime, and those are the things that really matter.
That's exactly right. So how
Yeah,
much wealthier do you need to be?
I don't know.
You don't.
I don't know. What the
That's
fuck,
exactly right.
Mike? What the fuck do I know? You know. Do you have any big projects? Do you have any big plans for this year?
My plan is I'm hoping and I'm working on getting to tour in
SpaceX.
Puerto Rico. A good friend of mine who's considering a lot of things that somebody I trust. He's from Puerto Rico, but he lives in New Jersey for quite some time now. But I want to get back out there and tour, but not in alcoholic bars, fried food establishments. Not interested in that. I'm interested in what I did in prior to these last few years is wellness facilities, churches, private spaces, private venues, all kinds of things that attribute to the well-being and that include more people. For too many years, I took the abuse of playing music venues, and no matter how good you were, how many people you drew, it was just, it was that, they don't, it's not enough for them. They have to sell more alcohol, more fried food, keep people out later, cut out the kids 18 and under who really want to go and see shows but can't because they're not old
They're going to
enough to
take up
drink.
space and not buy any liquor.
Yeah, they're not going to buy any liquor. Instead of being creative and going, we can make money other ways if we just use our brain instead of our greed. We can do those things. And I always said if I ever make enough money to open a space that allows that community of creative people to be there, and I would have myself or people involved vetting the talent very well to where my established reputation would be like, I will go there any day to see an event because I know it's going to be quality, and it doesn't matter if I know who it is. Those were the days of New York City. They were there for about 10 years. And Arlene Grocery was one of them. The Living Room was another one. There were a few venues out there that did provide well-vetted independent talent where you could walk in and go, holy shit, these dudes are amazing. And it really is about numbers now, with no involvement in creativity of how they can improve their business and how they can diversify their income. And it's going to fail. It is failing, and it's time for a new era, Mike. And that's what I truly believe. And I'm supporting a new era of.
You should start a not-for-profit and get funding to open this community space up.
That's a good idea, and I think I should work on that. That's not a bad idea.
I'm
Yeah,
full of
it's
fucking good
important.
ideas, man. Full of them.
See, there you go. You're a wealth of knowledge. That's what you are. See how wealthy you are? There's another piece of wealth that you just
A lot of
pushed
times
on
I
to
put
me.
the well in wealth.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah. We self-sabotage everything. Oh, we can't do this. Oh, we don't have, it's
And
all possible.
I think that concept, what you're talking about, is something that people could get behind. And I mean, I don't know if you know this, but there's a lot of money in New York.
There is. Yeah.
Did you know that?
You mean those tall towers there where there's all those available units in Billionaire Row? Those are those are wealthy people that own those. they give so much to our community in New York. They do so much, and they
You know what?
give
Here's the
so
thing. I
much.
think that I think there are ways that supporting the arts can be beneficial to rich people. You just have to be able to reach them. Uh,
Yeah,
Even if it's just like they're doing it to fucking get you off their doorstep, or they're doing it
tax write
because it's a
off.
tax break for them.
Hmm.
As far as I'm concerned, it doesn't matter how the money comes if it's going to something positive.
Yeah, I agree. Unless it's money from like a pedophile ring or something,
Well, sure,
you
yeah.
know,
I mean, like, of
something
course.
horrible, sex trafficking or something. I'm not. That's
Yeah,
a whole
though
different
these
story.
things aren't even options. These things
No,
are
God,
they're not in the
no.
realm of, you know, I don't care. I mean, it could be a bank robbery for all I fucking care. As far as I'm concerned, that's a gentleman's crime.
I would love to rob a bank and get away with it. And I would
Fuck.
give the money. I would give the money back. Actually, I just want to know if I could do it.
You know, here's another idea. I've had all these crazy ideas. For a while, when I was in Washington still, I wanted to do a firing range. You know, I wanted to open a firing range, but a firing range that you walked through. So it wasn't like one of these.
Oh, shooting as you go, as you're walking.
Yeah,
Like
so people could go do this, like, you know, sort of Westworld fantasy thing, but just with targets, pop-up targets.
I thought
Uh,
you were going to say, everybody run and start
right.
shooting.
But
Like the Hunger Games.
but I wonder if you could do like a bank robbery thing, and make it like one of, yeah, I think they've made movies about shit like this, where it's just almost like an escape room type game that people could go play, but you lose as soon as you discharge your firearm. Obviously, they're fake guns, but you discharge your firearm, you lost. You're fucking not clever. You're not smart. You just fucking hurt someone for money. You lost.
That's interesting.
It's kind of like really good band practice.
Yeah, yeah, it
You
is.
go
It
back
is.
until you get it right, and then you take it to the real world.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. That's kind of cool.
That's a
That's
pretty
kind of
good
cool.
idea.
Yeah,
That
it
one was
is.
just invented right here. If I get really rich off that, I'll cut you in. Not halvesies, because it
Perfect.
was my idea.
Yeah, it was your idea. Of course.
But
Of course. That sounds
you get a
awesome.
piece because
I get a little I get a
we were
little tiny
together.
piece.
Yeah, I'll break you off some. That's a
You'll let
pretty
me
good
shoot you
idea.
in the simulate? Yeah. I've shot a gun as a kid and I'm like, that's loud. Nah.
It's
I
really
don't
loud.
care.
No,
I'm like,
it's a
I had
violent action.
I had earplugs in and I'm still like, it's just something about I box, I've done martial arts. I was a wrestler as a kid. I can kick a little ass, but that's different. I'm not boxing to compete. Like I want to pound somebody's head in,
Right, or
if you're,
murder something.
yeah, you got to get your aggression out somehow. You just do. But, I just do it through music mostly
Yeah.
and say some awful things in my lyrics that I should send you this track.
That's why I burn churches.
Oh, do you?
No.
Fantastic. They're so beautiful. I'd hate to though. Just the architecture of a church. That's why I want to just tour churches across the country. I was on tour with this guy and we did this thing called Funding the Future, and it was teaching kids about financial literacy. And yeah, sounds really exciting, doesn't it?
Kids went bananas for it.
Yeah, they went bananas for it. No, it's an important job to give people
Sure.
a fighting chance to get ahead of the predatory lenders and stuff like that. But this guy had the means was to couple live music with the message, and it worked. It's still working. He's still doing it. It did create some PTSD with me. We'll talk about that off camera. Well, I got to the St. Borgia's Church somewhere in the middle, or I don't even know where we were. I can't remember where it was. Maybe Minnesota. and being a Borgia, as soon as I walked in that room, the priest knew I wasn't a believer, but he knew I respected the name and what he was doing. And he just gravitated towards me, and we just shook hands and hugged, and all the kids were having such a good time. And everybody was focused on just the Borgia in the room, right? They were it was like they're a rock star. It was so cool. And, and the priest was like, hey man, I get where you're coming from, but there's something about you, And I said, well, thank you. I feel the same way. And no, he didn't drag me in the back and, and
You
traumatize me. I went willingly.
Yeah. You're like, yeah.
Yeah.
I can show you a thing or two, Father.
Yeah, of course. But noble as that act is, it's still going on, and I can respond to that. There's a darker side to it, though. And that, again, is when religion and these cultish beliefs in the religious realm push people to be manipulated in such a way that there's a really dark presence around them. And they know it's there. They're hiding it from you. And they're trying to get you to do things that condition you into eventually being where they are. It's sick.
The original self-policing.
Oh, yeah. I called my wife every day on tour. I got them, I pushed them, I should say. I said, I'm open. Let's do 63 dates we did. Sometimes 2-3 shows a day.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was hard for the other guys. The main guy who put this all together and it's his music, he was all for it, but the other people were really fatigued. I didn't care. I kind of did it on purpose. That was my rebellion because I had to call her every day because I was feeling a certain way. It wasn't until recently that I discussed how I really felt about it and what post-traumatic stress I had from it. I got it out of my system, but she's like, wow, I didn't realize that affected you so much. I said, oh yeah. But
I'm not a cop.
Yeah, you can't be. But there's a sense of hypnotic manipulation that exists from Scientology all the way up to the Roman Catholic Church. It's a thing that when people break away from it, they're like, wow, I'm so happy I did that. But how did I wait? How did this happen
on
to
your
me?
back?
Yeah, he tried. Yeah, he's a special one. Yeah, I know. Yeah. So anyway, look, I want to do good things with this, with my creativity, and maybe I'll get a chance to do it before I'm too old, but we'll see. But not in that way.
You're doing good things. You're making music, and and it reaches people, and
and I'm healing people. I'm getting people better.
Right.
And that's the thing. I can only do what I can do. I'm only one person, and as overwhelming as that could seem at times, because the country we live in is so ill.
Like not in a hip hop way.
Yeah, they're not ill in a hip hop way. No. I mean, I think I need, hours and hours to figure out my whole life story, because it's something new every time. That I just discovered with a friend just the other day about something that I did in my lifetime that I didn't remember doing, and all of a sudden something triggered it and it popped up.
Right.
And detail after detail, I could, talk about it, but I don't know. That's a chapter. And when I'm dead, though, the legacy, there'll be enough there. And that's the thing. I know, obviously, we know we're going to die. I think it's important for us to create our legacy so the people who are left can really just appreciate the person in such a more profound way and share it with the world, Hi. My cat's high-fiving me right now.
Nice. Yeah. Listen, we're 2 hours in now, and my wife, in the middle of our conversation, came home after being in the city for a week.
Oh, amazing. Same. we get the same thing going. We could
So
talk for hours, but I appreciate you having me on, man. I do.
um when I say like I'm a fan of your voice and your melodies and your songs and your guitar playing. Everything about what you're doing is so solid and so quality. Um,
Likewise, man. I appreciate that.
uh, I hope that you'd consider being in a Couchers video. If you'd consider
Yeah,
singing
yeah.
in one
You
of these
you
things.
mentioned that. Yeah, you mentioned it. I'd be happy to.
Awesome.
I'd have to. I need some notice, of course, because the songs you guys do, I don't know, but
Well,
um,
they take months to come together, so it's not like they're not actually
just,
live, of course.
oh, I didn't know. I thought they were actually live. I had no idea.
Oh no, it would be impossible for me to. The technology doesn't exist for me to be able to do that. So, it,
You
they're
should have
they're
lied. You should have lied. I was like, wow,
they're
this dude's doing it right on the fly.
they're live performances, but
Yeah,
individually. So they're
gotcha.
built up from the drums foundationally. Like the drummer performs the song in a single pass to some backing tracks,
Oh,
and
they're
then
multi.
each
Okay,
person. So they're multi-tracked,
yeah,
single live performance of the song,
I
one person
see.
at a time.
Oh, fantastic. I
It's
thought, man, the editing skills. I'm like, holy shit, dude, how is he doing this?
well,
Like,
cutting
let's
it
get
together
together.
is a challenge,
Yeah,
but yeah, I would love it if you would lend your talents to a song. I have a robust set list, song list on Spotify. I'd be happy to send you. Um,
yeah, yeah.
um, but yeah,
Will I be able to? Will I be
I
able
would.
to listen to it? I don't have Spotify though. Would I still be
Oh,
able
I
to
could
listen to it?
send you. Well, I'll send you a list of like I'm not going to send you a song like I'll send you some songs. I'll send you a list of
Oh, okay,
songs. What do you think about
cool.
that?
Oh yeah, yeah, that sounds good.
Cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, let's see. The last couple things. Where can people go to find your music and the things that you have coming up?
Simple. MikeBorgia.com. BORGIA.com.
How'd you come up with that?
It was a long process.
Yeah. And then
Years of
also
scientific research.
market research.
Yeah, market research. Yeah. Yeah,
The
mostly
market
there.
says the market says if you use something familiar to what people are looking for as your domain name, you have a greater chance of success.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I know. The social media channels obviously are there. I'm
And
mostly using my
Bandcamp.
Bandcamp. I'm mostly pointing my domain to Bandcamp right now because it's got my catalog on there, most of it, and
I
but
heard that
I'm trying
the
to.
First Friday thing is coming back.
It is. I'm not sure what Bandcamp's doing though. They're a little bit behind because downloads are not popular, and they don't have a way to stream the songs. Like if you're a fan, you still have to click on each individual song or album to listen to it. You can't just play and let it roll and enjoy the experience of the catalog. Um, and I know the point is to try to get people to download or donate or whatever means, and obviously there's that. But they have great audio, is why I use them. You know,
Yeah,
it's a good bank for your songs.
right.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. But I wish they got more with the program, in terms of better monetization. But YouTube's been serving me well with that. So
Cool.
my YouTube channel is just youtube.com/Mike Borgia, and that's starting to get some legs. So
Cool.
and yeah, so I mean, because there's not a lot of platforms to monetize on. So and Spotify pays the least.
Don't I know it?
Yes, yes. Title
Um,
though, I see a lot higher payouts on title though.
can you one other thing? Can you do me a favor? Will you make a playlist of 13 songs and include at least one of your own songs. And these 13 songs can include important songs to you through the history of your life or not. They could be what you're listening to just today. It could be whatever you choose. Any 13 songs. It does not have to have a rhyme or reason, or you could secretly have a theme to your playlist. I do this guest playlist every week.
Okay, that's cool.
And
I could do that.
lastly, I need some photos from you so that I can cut up and make some posts with thumbnails and whatnot.
Oh yeah, I could do that too.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. How many photos?
Just give me a few options.
Okay, 3 or
If you've
4 or
got
something
'em.
like that.
Yeah, sure.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I got photos for sure.
You're like,
Fantastic.
oh, I've got photos.
From 1994, I have
Yeah.
a lot of good photos when I didn't even have hair on my face.
Listen, man, I had a really great time hanging with you.
Yeah, likewise. The virtual hang. We'll have to come up to Hudson at some point.
You guys come on up. It's
We're gonna
nice
knock
up
on
here.
your door.
It's quiet.
Yeah, it is. It is.
It's quiet.
She says yes.
And the food scene up here is better than ever.
I heard.
Better than ever.
Well, I can bring Borgia's kitchen to your house
This is true.
and create something that your mouth probably doesn't touch too often.
Bring it.
That sounded really.
that elicited laughs from beyond. Even that was great.
my tell your wife that's not what I meant.
I'll let her know.
I like the ladies, but thank you.
I'll let her know. This is a perfect time. Time to end.
For
okay,
sure.
I'm gonna stop recording, but don't close your shit.
Nothing.
All right.
My hands are tied. Okay.
All right.
Bye-bye.
So.